take off your shoe, put it on the table, draw your shoe. Oh, man. But I took that as a challenge that I was going to be the best shoe ever drawn. You know, I'd spend, you know, the rest of the afternoon on it, or, you know, if I was doing macaroni, I'd make a TIE fighter and an X-Wing fighter, you know, flying, even though, you know, it doesn't look so good in macaroni, but that's what I was doing because that's what inspired me and my imagination. At graduation, I remember my mom coming up to me and saying, if you want to go to this Christian high school where all your friends are going, me and your dad will make it happen. And I actually thought about it for a few minutes, thinking, you know what, that would be so easy, and I'd feel so much better, you know, being with the friends that I grew up with in the school. But there's no art program there, and that's truly what I wanted to do. You know, I really wanted to do art, and the bigger high school, public high school, had an art program, and I made my decision right there. I said, no, I'm going to go to Clark Road, even though it was one of the scariest moments, you know, going to the first auditorium with 1,600 students going from school with a total of about 180 students was a huge step, and nobody there was pretty scary, but you know, you got used to it. You made friends early on, and started drawing right away, and people would, you know, relate to you that way. Even though I was quiet, I didn't talk very much, but they were always interested in my art. Oh, that's cool. What are you drawing now? And, oh, that's beautiful. That's neat. And that's how I related early on. And so I decided my last year to apply for advertising art because they had an illustrator program in there. So the last year I applied at Fanshawe College. Getting into college, yeah, it was a big step, but you're finally in with all the other kids and wanting to do the same thing, and everybody had the same interests. You know, we're here to, you know, be designers and artists, and I thought that was great. And I met my wife there. You know, all these different paths, and art leads me to her. And then the first year is all basic stuff, you know, designs and, you know, contrasts and getting colors down and everything. And of course you had to take everything else, you know, public speaking, which, you know, I thought for sure, no, that's a course I'm going to fail. But in the end, I did okay. And then they had, you know, marketing, and oh man, marketing. Why can't they just have, you know, 24 hours a day, you know, just straight drawing? And then third year, that's what it was. It was just drawing all day long. You know, you get in there and there's all your stools. They called them donkeys. And you'd have your big piece of plywood in front of you with all these big pieces of paper, and they were hard to sit on. You had to bring in your own pillows. And I remember, you know, after the first couple hours, you back and your rear end gets pretty sore sitting on those things.
So what
no application sent out or anything. I was just, well, this is amazing, you know. I didn't apply anywhere. I didn't even look. I haven't even got out of school yet. I haven't even walked out the door, and I was offered a job. My family went up north, and my brother Mike, he went into the band office. They were in there for some reason, and he notices on this wall there's this application for this native art contest. The due date, the deadline, you know, I can't work with deadlines. I think I got it a month before it was supposed to be handed in. So I said, oh man, what am I going to do? And knowing that the eagle is, you know, the highest flying bird, and a lot of native legends and stories deal with, you know, taking your prayers and your voice up to the spirit. And so I quickly, you know, did a couple roughs and sketches, and finally, yes, yep, this is it. So I did a painting of myself with an eagle, and I did some paint on my face, but it wasn't. No one's really asked me about this, but the paint on my face is red and white because that's how I see myself, you know, from a Dutch background and a Native background, and that's how I see myself, red and white. I sent it out there with, I think I had 2 days left on the deadline, which is rare. Usually I'm right on the day, and even past the due date sometimes, and sent it out there. And when I got back in from work, you know, my mom's on, you got some, you know, you got some news I got to tell you. I said, oh, what, you know, that art contest you sent in for. I said, oh yeah, well, you won. And she was so happy, and I still get excited right now talking about, like, blown away. I cannot believe it. You know, it is so amazing to, you know, be accepted, and, you know, my art, you know, meant something, and they saw something in it. And I got a call later on that day from Suzanne, who runs the Native Art Contest. I can't even remember what she was saying, because I think I might have blacked out even then. And she said, it's in Winnipeg. We need you to come out there and, you know, get in front of all these people and accept this award. And I'm thinking, yeah, okay. Hung up the phone, and just a wave of nausea comes over you, and oh, I got to get on a plane, and I got to fly out there, and I got to meet everybody. And I didn't know how big it was going to be, you know, like, do they expect me to talk in front of all these people? Like, what am I going to say, and what am I going to do? And so I'm going to go upstairs and lay down for a little bit and let this all sink in. And I was like just praying, I hope I don't have to say anything, you know, actually sitting there and just painting it. This is the color I'm where I got to go. This is what I want. And so they did that. To get it here, you sit finalized, and, you know, I do a little sketch and have all these posters. It doesn't take so much time, like in your head, like it's instant. And like take them and think of something souvenir. Oh, I can change it. It's like you can sort of sat down there on it and change color in the background. You know, that's what I do in my head. I visualize everything. Me to sign. By the time I actually get or sit down and put it on the canvas, 100 people in there, and basically all I spent the rest of the night, you know, signing all these where I want to go. You know, it makes it feel so good to have somebody and spend the time and want to know when we go to and want something that you've done, and actually want your signature on something. We go, and it inspired me. We always want to actually pursue reenactment. That I never, long growing up, I never thought it's only a half hour from here. I love to draw. I remember this Native, one fellow walking in front of me, I'm going to take. Because so calmly, I lived in the city all my life, no traditional ways. All the battles going on in the back. I really had them, but any idea how to be close to the barrier and an artist at the same time. So I'm picturing in my head, went in the first time, this is what I want. You know, just he's walking in blown away and shocked. And then when I won the second time, he's walking out to Kelowna, and actually took my wife with me. You know, the souls of his ancestors. Felt so funny, like everything was about me at that time, and it's a special feeling. And then, you know, everything to win that is an inspiration. My daughter, I remember a few years ago, again, a third time in the pool. You just can't express how dragonfly flow good it makes you feel. Like I never enter thinking, oh, Dad, look. I just enter dragonfly and set it out there, hopefully, and someone maybe see it, save it. I'm thinking in my head, and enjoy it. Probably been laying there quite a while. You may be far from saving them. She says, well, I'm going to save him anyways. So she scoops him up. She's got water and the dragonfly, and he's all limp in her hands. And she gets out and goes and puts it on the sun, on the rock. This is true. And she sat there for, this is what I want, 20 minutes in the sun, you know, just watching. I'm still trying to find myself, and his wing just actually reading about one wing and watching flickers, and the other one starts to flicker, and then the wings are dry. Actually pursuing it on my own, because it is very interesting. I have ideas of how I want to paint that. They spoke something so beautiful and special. How can I get that across? You can just imagine the spirituality that they speak about. But I'm going to try. I have that after he flew away. It didn't even say bye, you know. It will come through in my art. He's going to tell all his friends. So every time we go out there, you know, if she sees a dragonfly, he's coming to say hi to me. And yeah, that's how I feel. And I'm so happy that that's the way she feels about it too. You know, something so special and almost fantasy-like, you know, that she can connect with. And she'll do that for the rest of her life. Another artist that I really enjoy his work is Suriyama. His illustrations and how he can make the human form or an animal form and make it look robotic. I look at, Robert Bateman and Carl Brender's, Drew Struzan. He does a lot of posters, and just looking at their techniques and wanting to know how they did them and how could I do that. I get inspired. Sometimes it'll just be listening to music, even a lyric in a song, watching a movie, even a legend or someone's talking about how they grew up. But I'm already thinking of how would that look as a painting or a piece of art? What medium would I use? Would do pencil, pen and ink, sketch, wood burning, acrylic, oil, and you run through all those things through your head. And I know when I do think of something, you sketch it out, and then that sketch will actually trigger something else. And you say, no, that doesn't look right. And then it pops in your head, this is what it should look like. Or change that, or flip that around, and no, that won't look good as an oil painting, or that would be better as a wood burning. First one I did, I was just fooling around because I had just bought the iron. It's like a soldering iron. When I first started doing the wood burning, it's like I would sit there and wood would start to smolder in my face, and geez, that smells great. I love that. And, it's just like being at a campfire, and, the wood stove going, and yeah, this is good. And then after the first hour, your eyes are starting to water, and oh, yeah, it smells good, but, it's hard to see what I'm doing here. And so open up the window, and boy, this is taking too long. You can get a couple fans blowing by me and get the smoke out of my face, but sometimes you do a little bit and then put it aside just to, go and get your head cleared. And then you decide, well, what if you do a face? Growing up, I hated doing faces, like when you go in school. Okay, today's portrait day, and then sit across from your friend there and you'd be sketching your buddy. And, unless you get the proportions right, it could look like anybody else in the classroom, like not who you're drawing. Yeah, I really like working on just tonal drawings, black and whites. That's what I've always loved, like pencil. I always go back, and all of my paintings, they all start out as pencil sketches. When you're working on pieces that come from inside you and how you visualize, it's almost like they're finished. There's no more I can add to them, and you want somebody else to appreciate them. So you feel a little uneasy because it is a piece of you going out there, and what are people going to think about you? If they don't like it, does that mean they don't like you? Or do they love it? Does that mean they love you? And you just send it out there, and then the next piece you're working on, that's a new piece of you that you're working on. I think I'm constantly daydreaming, and that's where my images come from, because I could be, doing anything, and it's just constantly flowing through my head. Like, there's so many things that you think about throughout the day. They could almost be called visions, I guess, because I see everything in color, and I see everything as an art, form of art in my head. There's a backlog in my head. I got all these images just floating around, and, sometimes I sketch them, and sometimes I lose them, and every once in a while, it'll come back. and I'll see it again, and you know, it may be the next piece of art that I do, and I don't think I'll ever stop imagining. And my art, I think I've just now started skimming the top of what I feel that I can do and what I want to do with my art. I feel that this is just the beginning, and yeah, there's so much inspiration out there every day that you can't help but see it. I've never talked about myself so much in my life.